Good morning, traders and investors. This is Joel Alconin here for Tuesday's edition of Pre-Market Info.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I kind of wish I would have brought my sunglasses in. You got this red sweater on. It's just, yeah, I think I might maybe go in my car and get some suntan lotion.
Well, what can you do? When I decide to wear a bright shirt, you're gonna have to deal with it, Joel.
Okay, how the future's looking this morning?
S&P 500 down just a couple ticks, 1765, right on the nose. Dow Jones trading down about 13, 14, 15 to 15,709. Nasdaq trading down around 4 points to 3,350. How about some commodities? Can I give you an update on those?
Well, I'll tell
Surely.
you, crude's down 40 cents again, as it is every single day when we do it at this time. It's the 8:05 crude down 40 cents time of the day.
But guys, don't be beating on the crude market too much because we have a possible breakout in the crude
You
futures.
said that yesterday. I'm having deja vu here now.
Yeah, it's possible, okay? Because
Joel, are you now the CNBC of commodities?
we got to cover everything here. But look at the last three not the last three highs. Look at yesterday's high in crude. Yesterday's high in crude, 95.41, I believe. You also had a high in that area going back 3 or 4 sessions. Then so you had a 95.30 high. So yeah, call it a triple top. Call it what you want. We are pulling back off that level, but you need to keep an eye on this 95.38 to 95.40 level for a potential breakout.
Little bit of a cup and handle form in there, kind of. I can kind of see it there. So maybe I'll buy a little bit of breakout theory, but I want to see it get above that $95 level and start running. So until I really get bullish here. S&P futures, though, what's your take here? Let's just go back because we've got a 1769.75 high, a 1762.75 low, a 7-point range. It was tight, so tight yesterday. I mean, we sat there in a 2-point range for the entire day. I was picking my nose, man. There was just no movement in the S&P futures.
Well, I'm glad we're not on the screen to see that, but it's funny.
Well, this was yesterday, though.
I was
I
coming
may
back.
start picking my nose again, though, if we don't start moving.
I went to grab a quick lunch, and I came back and I was looking at the quote screen, and I thought I needed to reboot my computer because there was just no prints in the S and P's, and Brent just alerted me that there was absolutely nothing going on. Very quiet day, but we do have some levels to keep it on. Nevertheless, Monday's low 62.75. Today's low in the pre-market 62.75. So as long as that level holds, everything's all right for you out there in bullland. That's a major level. Not much support under that, but can we ever like break the previous day's low? I mean, it just doesn't happen.
It's just this bull market, this slow kind of steady grind north. But what happens too is, like we have said before on the show, it's there's not a lot of liquidity off the top few minutes of trade. But once you get in the middle of the day, there's no risk. All the high frequency trading market makers come on, piggybacking off of any real orders that are there. The book thickens up here, and as Joe Saluzzi used to always say, he calls it the high frequency trading vice grip, where we sit in there in a 2.1 point range, and they're just sitting there scalping, for pennies and making rebates, and there's really nothing happening, and it's just so thick. The market just thickens up in the middle of the day. And I think that's where the problems is just it's thick and it doesn't move.
It's thick with
Liquidity begets liquidity.
it's thick with buyers, Dennis. I mean, there's no one willing to sell, so the buyers
Well, they're
just
willing to
sit
sell
there.
too, or we would be flying higher. But they're just sitting there doing the both. They're sitting there scalping a penny. It's boring, 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 boring. We need some movement, man. We need some exciting news, something happening, something to get some volatility in here for our traders.
Just tell me and I'll put it out.
Just tell me how to put it out. Well, that gives us some trouble, so I don't do that. But But yeah, so I don't know. I'm bored here with the market, obviously, but hopefully, maybe we break down through the 62.75. We get a bit of a sell-off. Is that what you're telling me?
62.75 is a number, Dennis. You just keep an eye on that, and you could
All right,
just keep buying and buying and buying, and that it
till it
will hold.
breaks.
Below that, on the upside, we are running into problems in the 1770 handle, 1770 and a quarter, 70.25 Monday's high, all-time high at 74.50. So lo and behold, we're going to break out of one of those areas today. I guarantee it.
Okay, he guarantees us. So that's good news.
You heard the table, right? Wham!
Facebook. I did. I'll give you some props yesterday, Joe, because I had to go looking for action. So I actually had to start trading Facebook because at least it was moving. And I'll actually give you some props there for yesterday's call. It got up, and you were saying that 47 and a quarter level there. I threw out a limit there, went against my theory of throwing out limits at 47.24 just because of your number there, Joel. And I made 50 cents on the trade. So thank you very much. That one worked out all right. Obviously, Facebook got back up there again and then really started to sell off. So again, the scalper in me, I don't make as much as I should, but the stock is starting to look weak here on the charts.
Fell 50 cents. I mean, it's better than a sharp stick in the eye.
Sure.
Couple things to note here on that yesterday's action. You did have it. The guys in the pre-market did have it right. They were pounding Facebook, and if you were really super quick, I mean, it went to 47.53 off the hop, Dennis. I'm surprised that you did you sell it on the way down? Because I'm surprised you took that much heat.
No, actually, there was two times. If you look at the intraday, bring it up. It got up to 47 and a quarter. I only took like 2 cents a heat, and it sold off 40, 50 cents, and then it rallied up after that and got back up to 47.50. So I got on that initial fall. You see the initial one there? I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a bad spike there. I was before that was maybe in the pre-market spike, but just looking went down and then it went up after. So yeah, so 47 and a quarter, and then it went down like 46, I think like 70 or something, and then it rallied up to 47.53. So
Okay. Well, that old support acted as new resistance. That traded very quickly there. So good trade there because the second time I know if you wouldn't have taken that heat up, but now we have an interesting chart formation here. You did get a little bounce off that 45.73 low, but only sitting 20 cents above it here in the pre-market. You did have a low in Facebook going back to October. You had that low at 45.26. So you can't get real carried away if it goes to that 45.76 level. Have another minor support point at 45.26, and below that things certainly open up to under 45. You had a low going back a little bit farther at 44.40, but support starting to build up here, 45.70 and 45.20.
you had some reversals in a couple of these though. Facebook really wasn't, but if you look at Tesla yesterday, it actually had a reversal day and was popping up here pretty good. It is popping up another 28 cents here in the pre-market, but we rallied $6-7 there on Tesla yesterday.
Right, the bulls are coming out a little bit on this, or perhaps just
Take a
people,
pause.
are just covering their shorts. I mean, the stock has come off 60 some dollars from that all time high it hit not too long ago. So really, to make some kind of retracement is really not that surprising. But we got some good levels to look at if you're going to be a Tesla trader today. 45.42 yesterday's high, had a high on Thursday at 45.65. Haven't quite reached that level in the pre-market here, kind of bumping up against 145 and change. So keeping an eye on that level, 145 and a half if you're looking for a breakout here in shares of Tesla.
And then you had the Twitter reversal too. It took out the $40 level, got down into the 39 handle as low as 39.40, but then came back up through 40 and was off to the races. 42.90 is where it closed. $43 is where it's trading at right now. What do you think of this chart all of a sudden?
Quite a reversal. Got under 40. I mean, we were looking at that $40 level. We were, commenting on, while it might be a good place to cover short, not the greatest place to initiate a long, but it turns out it did. Think about it, Dennis. You've had basically a 10.5 point sell off from the all time high of 50.10 down to the all time low of 39.10. So, what's going to be interesting here, and what I'm looking for, if this Twitter rally is for sure here, I think we need to go back up to that 45.70 area. 75 marks the 50% retracement. You had a close at 44.90 on the first day of trading. I think it'd be real interesting to see it get up to that level. If it got back up to 45 and held it, I would say the worst is over. We're going back up to 50, but I think it's going to have a hard time getting through that close opening day closing price of 44.90.
We did have a few stocks report earnings, some to highlight here this morning. Dish Networks, DISH, is trading up pretty significantly on their report. Blew the numbers away, 68 cents versus 44 and 3.6 billion versus 3.58 billion on the revenue. And the stock is trading up $2.10 this morning. It's up 4.42%. This chart, though, there's a lot of overhead supply up here, just under $50. What are you thinking about this one?
Dish getting a pop up here. It really had a drop yesterday. Boy, wasn't looking good going
Leaning
in.
the wrong way.
Yeah, they were leaning the wrong way on this one. Made a low at 47.46 and just closed right off that, and now you're popping up near the 49.50 level. I had a couple highs at 49.30 and 49.35, so if you could stay right here, hold this 49.30 area, I think there's a chance that you can go up. More sellers at the 49.50 level. I do not like when stocks sell off that hard and then they just get the bounce off the number. A lot of times you don't see the follow through and come right back down to that 47.50 level. So we'll see if that's the case for Dish Network.
Sometimes you do see the follow through, and GoGo was going yesterday, and the follow through was there on that one. Holy cow, it just kept flying up throughout the day off their earnings report. UBS actually downgrading the stock here this morning, so it is down 15 cents, GoGo. But man, that was a breakout, and that was a breaking out, and it was going.
Right, we talked about this where it was kind of getting into no man's land. Did get a little dip off the open. Under the $22 level, got to 21.63, so got a little bit overdone in the pre-market. If you were very aggressive in the first 10 or 15 minutes of trading, you could have made some money from the short side, but after that, after it got through the pre-market high, you got up to 24.85. We're trading down from the close here about 30 cents, so I give respect to that close there, and that's got to be the all-time high close at 24.15, and then it's really hard to find a support point, coming on the downside since you had that really big range yesterday.
Yeah, if it does get up in the 24 handle, I think with the downgrade from UBS, with probably overhead supply up at the $25 level, you might see some sellers in the mid 24. So I think this thing will struggle in the 24 handle today. DHI reported earnings. Home Builder actually reported inline earnings, 40 cents versus 40 cents, 1.82 billion versus 1.79 billion, so just slightly beat on the revenue. But the stock's just kind of hanging out here this morning, almost doing nothing on this report. It's traded 37,000 shares, but it's up 4 cents right now at 18.10.
We are looking at yesterday's high, 1821, another high at 1834 here. So you do have opening into resistance. So we'll see if we can get through there. Little gap to fill up to 1844. But since they're not immediately taking this up off the numbers, I expect those levels, those highs to stand. Coming back on the downside, 1767 was Monday's low, 86 Friday's low, so let's split that, call the major support at 1777. Below that, you have some more support buffeting those lows at 1759 at August 16th. So just not a lot here in this chart unless you can bust above 1850 or break below 1760.
We got a little sell-off in Dean Foods on their report. They reported earnings 12 cents versus 14 cents, so slight miss. Revenue slightly beat 2.2 billion versus 2.19 billion. Their full year, they're guiding lower here, though, which is knocking it down. They're seeing 85 to 91 against 98 cents estimates. They're also guiding Q4 lower. They are saying here, just trying to see something with the dividend. Was there a buyback? Actually, yeah. So they're reporting a buyback plan for up to 300 million, and they will start paying or will pay a quarterly dividend beginning in Q1 of 2014. So a little bit of good news mixed in there with the kind of bad report and the lowered guidance. So they were trying to give something to get investors excited, but it's not working. Stock is down 90 cents here in the pre-market, just ticked to 18.99.
Getting some momentum going here to the downside. Nice run. The stock ran into trouble just under $20 here. Now you're trading down. You did get a little bounce off that pre-market low at 1871. Let's take a look at the dailies. Stock has had a nice run here. Now you're getting some negative news coming out on it. Down 70 cents is a pretty big move for this. Doesn't trade a ton of volume, around a million shares. They are taking it down on just a little bit of volume. So let's keep an eye on the potential support point here. You had a nice low at 1857. You had a low in the pre-market at 1871. So that's support areas we'll be looking at. And only have 38 cents to go back in to sneak into yesterday's range. Yesterday's low is 1938. Should be your resistance area.
Your loser of the day is going to be Sarepta Therapeutics, which is SRPT. They reported earnings, but they got some bad news on some drugs too. Shaky Jakey, are you around there?
Oh man, yeah, Sarepta's having a rough day. Down over 50% right now. I'm seeing shares at 17.56 with a high of $40 in the pre-market. They did do better than expected on earnings, but the FDA really rained on their parade. Basically, the FDA is raising some concerns about its drug at. All right, I'm gonna go for this. Eteplersen, I believe is what it's called. Basically, they're saying that the data that they used to collect, show that this is, in too premature to be used in the trial stages it's in. They're also raising questions about another one of its drugs. They didn't disclose which one that was, and they said that the company is basically their criteria for enrollment in the studies in its studies for its drugs may be too lax. So apparently they're going to be meeting within the month, but this seems to be really scaring traders away from this issue, as we saw it gap down just below $30, and then it's just been falling ever since. Looks like it's starting to level out at least a little bit, but rough morning for Sarepta.
That chart is just a disaster, down 52%. So that's not a stock split. Stock is halved here this morning. Joel, what are those technicals saying on this one? Joel.
Yes, Darth Vader. The technicals told you that you should have sold yesterday. Wow.
Should have sold. Oh, that's a good
Man,
tip there. What do we
hindsight
do now?
capitals
What if we
really
didn't
killing it.
sell yesterday? What do we do?
Then buy, Mortimer. Just get in there. Just get in there and buy. I mean, come on.
Holy
50%.
cow, this is horrible looking.
Let me look
You know
at
what's
that.
even more horrible looking? If you look back on October the 5th, 2012, we gapped up huge. I don't know what happened that day, but we went, well, in that week, we went from 14.84 up to $45. We are now cascading through all of that area. So really, if I'm looking at the numbers here, I don't see a lot till 14.84. That's another $2. I don't know if I would sell something that's $18 down, but maybe you're too early to pick bottoms here. This thing has just fallen another 50 cents since we've been talking.
I did. I pulled up that 1484 level too, and we'll just keep an eye on this. I mean, the cascading is kind of stopped a little bit here. We just made a 1778 low, and then we made another low at 17 and a quarter. Now the prior low on the 15-minute was a buck 30 away from there. So what you're going to be looking for this, if you're looking to buy this thing, you're just looking for those lows just to like gather in one area and get a little consolidation. Because hey, if I was short this thing, and this thing is down 50% here, I just think it's a gift for the short. So I don't think you're going to see that 1484, Dennis, and I think you're going to have some kind of rally.
Yeah, well, eventually you got to think there's going to be some type of a bounce here. That's just what happens. The only problem is where does the bounce happen from? You could have looked at this, 25 minutes ago and it's trading up in the 20s and saying, oh, well, it'll bounce off 20. Now it's at 1780 on you. And as it continues to move down, obviously it's harder to bounce back up because there's more and more volume trades. Obviously, those traders turn around and try to sell it too. 2.3 million shares here have traded already. This thing is very active. Probably going to trade 7 to 8 million by the time the 9:30 open comes around. Maybe even more than that. So it's just a matter of where that bounce comes from. So let it stop going down before you start to the bottom. So that's always a good tip there when something's going straight down.
Well, also, I mean, I think this is one of the occasions where they're overdoing it in the pre-market here. So let's say if this 17 and a quarter low holds here, I just think they're overdoing it. I mean, and that's what they tend to do here in the pre-market trading. So
They do.
that's my take. We're already
Yeah, it's
almost
always
back at
overshooting.
18 bucks, Dennis. Come on.
So 17 and a quarter. You think the low is in? Is that what you're telling me?
Yep.
17 and a quarter, the low
Yep.
is in? Okay, Joel's giving you a good number. He's usually pretty good at this, picking these lows in the pre-market. So we'll have to see if that does actually hold. Um, NQ here, trading up pretty significantly in the pre-market. We got a disclosure 13G Toro Investment Partners reporting a 5% stake. I think this company reports today, doesn't it? Can anybody verify NQ reporting this tonight?
Yep, NQ does report. In fact, remember that Brent was mentioning that yesterday.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting with all the news and all the stuff that everything's been coming out, the headlines coming out. We're actually going to get some earnings from this thing tonight, so we'll be listening to that. But the Toro Investment Partner is putting a 5% stake in here, and that's popping the stock $1 in the pre-market.
And does anybody remember what I was saying about this stock yesterday going into the earnings?
I
Tell
don't
us.
actually.
I looked at the. I
In
looked at.
between this. Oh.
No. We could go back and listen to the tape. Uh, we had four highs between 11:30 and 11:74, and we were just trading above there in the pre-market. And I thought that if we got above that level, we could have a little bit of a breakout. People wanting to
I
cover
remember
shorts.
now.
Good
Yep.
job, Joel. Good
Right.
job.
Right. Right. Not that I
Joel was
had.
hot yesterday. The Facebook call,
Yeah.
the NQ call. He's hot. He's
Yeah.
hot right now. He's calling that
Okay.
bottom in SRPT.
Well, no,
Looking
now
good.
now you're trading up here in the pre-market ahead of earnings. We did get up a spike here to 15 even. Now it's kind of tricky. I guess I just would have to keep an eye on 16 bucks today, and that is the level
16.
1585 is my number. And you know what that number is? That's the highest this is traded since making the low and since muddy waters threw dirt on this stock. So that's an important level to keep an eye on. If the rally continues, it would be another buck. But that's a major level. Coming back on the downside here, I don't get really excited about people, disclosing what their positions are because obviously they already bought at a lower price than it is now. So use that 1355 yesterday's high minor support.
MULEX ELX announcing a buyback 200 million after the close. They're also getting upgraded this morning at Piper Jaffray. Stock ELX is trading up from 754 up to 805 right now. So ELX breaking out here. Here's a stock that has had wicked consolidation for the better part of an entire month. Now trading up over $8.
What do they do, Dennis?
You always throw me under the bus on there. They're technologies company. I don't know. What do they do? Does anybody on the Benzinga desk know their specific stuff here? MULEX.
They are memory, I believe.
Another technology. I'm not sure.
It's networking. It's
It's
storage
networking.
networking. Yeah.
There you go. See, Joel likes to try this. We're technical traders here. Fundamentals. Who cares about the fundamentals? Does that matter?
Uh,
I don't even know if fundamentals matter at all anymore.
we had a high in the pre-market at 808. I want our traders to keep an eye on the high that you had going back in October. You had a high. Well, you had one high at 808. That's exactly the high here. That was the high on October 21st, and then you had another high above the 820 at 824. So there's a couple resistance points moving up 50 cents on a little bit of volume. Piper definitely moving this stock here with the upgrade.
Got Costco trading down slightly in the pre-market. UBS saying they don't. Well, UBS downgrading the stock here. 122. It just ticked to. Closed at 123.02. Obviously, the stock has been on a tear. If Joel could draw trend lines on this Costco, there'd be a nice one drawn from the 115 all the way up to the 122 area where we're trading at now. So, hoping that trend holds for the longs, because that trend starts to break, it wouldn't be that pretty, maybe.
Not a lot of volume getting it down a stick here, so a little bit of a downgrade here. Wouldn't be too worried.
200 shares only, yeah. So
Yeah,
no volume, basically.
122 was yesterday's low. We are trading at 122 here in the pre-market. Someone's trying to knock it down through Monday's low. After that, you have a little bit of a fall down to 120, 112. That was your low from Friday. That's a couple areas to keep an eye on. And I give the major support at the 120, 32 level. But you ever notice, like, one thing about Costco that I don't like is that you want to go buy this one particular thing, and they don't always have it. They're always. You ever notice that, guys, or am I the only one that notices that? Or don't you guys shop at Costco? You guys go to Sam's Club?
I'm kind of a Sam's Club guy. Yeah. Sorry to disappoint.
No, I hear you, Joel. I mean, every time I kind of go there, it's one of those things where I feel like it's more of like an impulse buy kind of place. I'm not going to go there specifically to buy a TV unless I know they've got a deal on one, just simply because, I mean, I don't know what TVs they're going to have until I get there. So, whereas, Best Buy, I know exactly what's going to be there, something like that. So I hear where you're coming from.
I would shop at Costco if I had a membership, but we don't have room where in my house right now to store all of that bulk stuff.
I was thinking more about when I went there over the weekend. I couldn't find breadcrumbs.
You mean to find? You mean to find your way back out of the store?
Yeah, Joel needs to throw breadcrumbs.
Well, I mean, it's not your average. It's not like a standard grocery store. It's where you kind of buy the big stuff, and then you go. I think they want you to go buy the little random stuff at your local shop. I think that's what they're thinking. I don't know.
So they're not going to sell breadcrumbs for you, Joel.
They do sell breadcrumbs. I've got them there before. Okay,
Oh,
quit
okay.
quit beat me up on this. And they also have
Buy a
really
whole oil drum of them, though.
well. They also have really good samples. You can go buy the little stands. They always got
That's
people.
why I like going.
Okay, that's right.
I like to eat.
Yeah, strolling.
I
lunches
love
down
eating in the grocery
Saturdays.
store. I see all that food, I'm so hungry, and then I get to go and try all those different things. Excellent, excellent. That's why I like Costco.
What else we got moving today, Dennis?
Well, we talked about the big loser of the day, so let's talk about the big winner of the day, and that's going to be VNDA, which is Vanda Pharmaceuticals. It's up 84% right now. FDA briefing documents, I guess, are making this thing pop here. I don't know if anybody's got anything else on that, but we have just went from basically the low of the year to the high of the year overnight, or near the high of the year overnight.
Are they like the opposite of Sarepta? Maybe they have
guess so.
have something in the pipeline
Maybe
here.
they're short Sarepta.
I don't know. This is a huge pop for this. The stock is doubling here. We can track down the news on this. Obviously, they found a cure for cancer and baldness in the same drug or whatever. Got to 1290 pre-market high. Last couple highs here for the last half hour, 45 minutes have been just someone's been selling some stock between 1278 and 1290. So we'll keep an eye on that as a potential resistance point. The opposite theory here, Sarepta, if you're shorted and you get the kind of drop that you see, why? I mean, how could you not want to take profits in it? And here, the stock is basically doubling here. You got to really be a pig of a bull not to take profits on this. And I just want to alert our traders here that back in September this year, the stock got traded at $12.99, and then it also has the all-time high at $13.47. It did that in September of this year, and also sniffed the 13.30 level in June here. So nothing you can say about this stock except it's opening up into resistance.
I've been looking through the news wires since last night on eBay. It started trading down after hours last night on pretty decent volume. It looked like one guy really kept just dumping the stock. I've been looking here this morning too on eBay, and I still don't really see anything jumping out at me on the headlines that is moving the stock down here in the pre-market. But eBay is down 1%, down 58 cents here. Apparently no headlines. If anybody on the Benzinga desk can see anything either, but I just haven't been able to find anything on it. It's down 23,000 shares, so trading down pretty significantly.
They already have earnings. Your earnings coming out soon. maybe someone getting
I
a
feel
little.
like they already didn't they come out? Did they come
Uh,
out?
I
I saw
can't
like they
remember.
come out about a month ago.
Earnings were out on October
Yeah.
16th.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've already had earnings, so I'm not sure the reasons here. Maybe this is a sympathy play with something, but I don't know what would be really moving it down here. But it's trading down significantly in the
You've,
pre-market.
yeah, you got the accordion chart going here. Major. Well, let's look at the pre-market here to see what kind of parameters here. 52.17 low, not getting much of a bounce off that. So we'll keep an eye on that level. Taking a look at the daily charts here, you did have a double bottom. Maybe they're looking at the double bottom. They took out that double bottom, 52.47, 52.50. Now it has taken out that support. Now will act as resistance. And if you look at this on the chart here, things really open up down to the 51.12 level. So eBay in a little bit of trouble here, auctioning off their stock price.
I want to look at two stock charts that is really consolidating here. Start with Apple because we've had 3 days here in Apple. I know you'd be excited to talk about this, where you've had 3 highs in a similar area and 3 lows kind of down in the same area too. So similar ranges for the last 3 days in Apple, and actually Google kind of doing the same thing too, where you've had 3 bottoms here in the same area. But let's start with Apple there, Joel. What do you think of that?
It's really quieted down after earnings.
Mm-hmm.
Major resistance up to the 2 highs from Friday and Monday within 50 cents, and then you've had a string of 4 lower highs. I'm just keeping on. I'll keep this in the bull camp until you take out the 512.38 and 512.59 lows from last Thursday and Friday. So keep playing the range and the consolidation until it kicks you one way or another. You got to figure you're going to need a big market meltdown or something to push this through 512. But I just want to alert our traders here to the Googster. The
Wow.
Googster, it's in trouble.
Sitting
Google,
on a cliff.
Yup, it's in trouble when you get these kind of formations here. You got the downgrade from Morgan Stanley. They took it off their best ideas they've ever had since JP Morgan started the bank. You've had 3 lows between 00764 and 0850. You've hit 08 in the. Let's see how low you've gotten in the pre-market here. You're just sitting here at 0855. This is reminiscent of that Facebook chart yesterday where it was just holding on support here and just ready to give away. No one, they can't pick it up off this 1008 level this time. And as we've been speaking on the show here, S&Ps have made a new low at 62.50. That's a tick below Friday's low. So, man, when stocks go to support and they just don't rip out of it, it's usually a sign that they're going to take it out. So, I'm looking for this 100850. We could trade under 1,000 today in the Google.
And you know what else is in trouble? We were just looking, the S&P's just ticked down on Google, but your SRPT 17 and a quarter, it took it out, Joel, in the pre-market. We're trading under 17 right now. We're trading under 17, so the low did not hold. Here we're going to try to pick another bottom here on SRPT.
Well, if we go back and listen to the tape, I said the low would be made in the pre-market, and you kind of tagged that 1721 on me here. So I'm glad we didn't bet a pop on that because that wouldn't have been fair here. But yeah, let's just keep we've talked about this before when stocks are trading like this, 925, 926, 927, that's when, some of the other players are going to get that aren't active in the pre-market will start delving, getting their ready for the open. So still have another 45 minutes to trade here in Sarepta. But 1484, we did mention that as a possible level.
Doug Cass was saying on Bloomberg TV, just looking from the Benzinga Newswire, stock valuations are bubble-like. So maybe that's why we were ticking down and making new lows here. He can be a little bit of a mover here too. And I don't know. Do you think that stock valuations are bubble-like here, Joel? Are you in that same boat as Cass?
Yeah, but I said that at 1500 and it's and it's 1600. So you're asking the wrong person. Not that. You're right. And now and I lost that big steak dinner bet to you.
I'm
So
still hungry for that steak.
I know. We'll get you over here for it.
Dennis, are you a fan of good old Dougie?
And Dougie, he can make some pretty good calls. So you got to give Dougie some props. He's on there. He was off Twitter there for a little while. He went on, and then he said the haters. He just couldn't take it anymore with the haters, and he says I'm going to be done with Twitter. But he missed us all, and he's back on Twitter, and he's tweeting on there again. So I do follow Cass. You got to be aware because he can be a market mover. Remember that time with the Apple
I was
when he
just gonna
said
mention that. I was
what did,
just
what
gonna.
did he say about Apple again? And it popped it like was he saying a stock split or something that they might do or something like that? And then the stock popped like $20 on his tweet. And then it came, and then he said, "Oh no, maybe not." Later in the day, and it came all the way back down.
And he had a position, and
Yeah,
I don't think he sold into it and stuff. But I tell you,
a little bit
for you,
sketchy.
for you Twitter traders, and also for you people out on the Twitter, just think before you hit that send button, whether it's to buy the stock or you send out a tweet there, because once it goes into cyberspace, it's hard to get it back.
Oh yeah, it's impossible to get it back. So when I say something you really want to say, I guess. Well, Joel, I think we got to go get ready for our guest here.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna have Nic Chahine on, and he's gonna discuss his market strategies here. So we'll be looking forward to that. We'll take a quick 2 minute break here, and we'll be back with Nic Chahine. Welcome back, traders. This is Joel Alconin and Dennis Dick, along with Nic Chahine. His product on MarketFi is Create Income with Options Spread, and I want you everyone to be really nice to Nick today. He got out of bed very early to do this interview. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Despite the early hour here in California, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks, Joel and Dennis.
And we're all jealous of his weather out there because we had snow here in Detroit yesterday, and he's telling me it's like picture perfect weather out there in Southern California.
It's absolutely picturesque. Yesterday, somebody asked me, and I just couldn't describe it enough. It was like perfect balance this time.
Now, Nick, you have a unique background in the markets here. Could you just give us a brief your education as well as your market background?
Sure. As far as market, I'll start backwards. As far as market is concerned, you can probably say that I came from Main Street rather than Wall Street. I'm not the typical guy who climbed the ranks of a finance company. I started out in electrical engineering, and that's my degree in undergrad, and then just migrated through marketing, and then fell into finance by mistake. I was filling in for somebody, and I fell in love with it, and I got my MBA, and then jumped into the finance world, and then decided that I've had enough of the corporate structure, and it had paid me well, and I served it well, and then went on my own a while back and never looked back. Kind of a little scary when you jump out on your own, but if you don't think about it, it's not like bungee jumping. And if you think about it, you don't do it. You just have to just do it without thinking about it.
What were you doing in the finance world?
Just a regular. I was a finance manager, and then my longest stint was FP&A, so financial planning and analysis. Loved it. Just playing around with Excel models and tweaking numbers and telling people what to do as far as how to spend their money and where to allocate budgets.
Okay.
That was very interesting to me. So basically, my nature is I'm very conservative, regardless. It's very troublesome to some people to hear it because of what I do, credit spreads, because they have the bad reputation of being super risky, and they can be. But I'm very conservative, and I like to plan around given circumstances. So give me a scenario, and I can plan around it, as opposed to taking a guess one way or another, or timing something here or there. So that's why I fell into it, and it was kind of like a perfect fit with my personality and skills.
So how did you move from finance, into credit spreads? What was the transition to get you to that?
The transition was it was so slow, I didn't even see it coming, and then it kind of like all showed up at the same time. I've been always interested in trading, and I was just doing stocks, buy this, hold it, for 2-3 months and sell it later, the typical investment. And then I started trying to shorten my period of time, and then it was a coin flip, really. Regardless of all the research you do, it's really the short term is a coin flip, whether Suncor is going to go up or down a few pennies here and there. So then I fell into options, which have bigger bang for the buck. But then I wasn't a good market timer. But I knew, I was always off, a week here, a week there. In theory, okay, if I was long IBM, I went with calls. If I was shorted, I went with puts. Then I lost a lot just based on timing. So I was figured out a way that, wait a minute, I can space out my timing and make time work for me by actually selling the spread rather than buying it. So that's how I ended up in credit spreads.
Okay, so go ahead, Dennis.
I was gonna say, just talk about your trading style here, so how do you go about picking which stocks you're gonna do a credit spread on? Are you looking at technicals? What are you looking at really to make these decisions?
Okay, when I'm trying to show people what to do or how I do things, it's really, really basic, and it's really repetitive, and I try not to take any shortcuts because I'll get hurt. So the basic idea is to have a watch list of indices, tickers, stocks, whatever you like. Track it to death and know what it does, when it does it, and all the intricacies of it. So fundamentals drive everything I do. If I don't believe in something fundamentally, I usually don't trade it. I use technicals to tell me whether my fundamentals are ready for deployment. Okay. So to take a quick example, if I'm looking at Google and I like Google as a company and I think its prospects are well, so I put it on my watch list and it's tradable, then I say, okay, it's about 1,010 now. I like it down to 950, and I think it's okay valued here, it's greatly valued at 950, then let me see if the technicals agree with me that I can trade it at 950, and I'll throw a credit put spread at 950. That would be the easy way to quickly say, okay, this is how I traded Google.
Now
go ahead.
I was just gonna say we have a lot of traders that maybe aren't familiar with credit spreads. Can you just explain maybe how you would approach that on Google and then the actual
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. The easy way to look at it, most people know puts and calls, and you buy a put and you wait for the price to come down to it. However, time is working against you and just killing your asset as in front of you.
Yeah.
So if you like a company and you say, okay, like I have somebody keep asking me, Apple, would you buy it now? In theory, yes. I mean, it's a great company. I wrote an article recently. It's kind of like hard to mess up such a beautiful asset, and if I like it here, you can buy it, and it's a 50-50 shot that you're going to make money, or you can sell a put in it way lower than here and buy it lower if it ever gets there. If it doesn't, then you participated on the upside. What I do is I don't like the unlimited risk, so I sell a put, say in Google at 950, but then I go ahead and buy a put behind it at 945 to cap my risk.
Right.
So yes, I capped my income, but I also capped my risk, and I know almost exactly what are the chances of me getting hit. So risk to me is really the bottom line of how I trade. I manage risk. Risk dollars at risk and risk of incident. Incident is chances of me losing money.
Right.
And that's
In that scenario there, with that Google spread. Now, if it went below 940, then where's your risk there?
well, he just lose the 5 points,
My
right?
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. My max risk is $5 in this case because I just chose a $5 spread in Google. So that was just an example. Now Google has got a long extended neck here, and all the technicians are expecting it to draw down to the 70s. So probably I will wait a few days. Even I've heard somebody on your show, I think this morning, mention it will trade under 1,000. But no one can deny the no
Sure.
one can deny the fact that it is a well-run company with gobs of money and gobs of ways of making money. So in the mid to long term, the company is a winner, no doubt about it, unless the market completely, tumbles down. So the Google example, yes, maybe timing is not perfect because of how it jumped up with a big gap, and it's kind of extended a little bit. But if somebody, I would not be shy about putting that spread on.
Okay. Do you use things on the on the opposite end of the spectrum? As far as when stocks are overvalued, will you use your strategy to short stocks as well?
I do almost always. Every time I put a credit put spread, I try to look for a credit call spread against it, which is the exact opposite. So let's use the Google example since we're sticking with it. This way, the listeners can follow. And what I would do is if I took the 950, I'll take a credit call spread about the same wingspan upwards. So I'll take the 1050, 1060 maybe call spread. So I'll sell the 10 say 60 call and buy the 1065 call behind it to again cap my risk. Again, it caps my profit, potential profit. But at least I can sleep well knowing the worst I can lose is $5. And again, here, yes, you think I added another $5 at risk, but I didn't because either one or the other is going to lose. They can't both lose at the same time.
Right.
And
But
also, like the cool thing about that too is we always say when the market doesn't move, and sits there does nothing, it's hard to make money. Well, in this case, actually, this is a good strategy for the market not moving, correct? Because if it
it,
stays there,
that's that.
you're collecting.
That's the life of a spreader, a credit spreader. If people say, "Well, what did the market move?" I say, "I hope." My son last night asked me, "How did the market do?" I said, "It did nothing. Perfect."
You love that.
Yeah, that's for me. I want nothing to happen. I want everything to stay the same until it expires. So that's what I want. Nothing to happen. I hate, what I don't hate it, but what hurts a credit spread is headlines, surprises, big whooshes. Those
Black
we
swan
can't.
events.
Yes, yes. Well, Black Swan hits everybody.
Yeah.
Actually, spreaders less so than others
Yeah,
because
because you're protected.
yes, $5 here and $5 there and
Yeah.
$5 here. Yeah, it adds up, but at least I didn't lose half my whole portfolio.
Yeah. which makes sense. So this is an interesting strategy because we've had guys on the show, that come on just sell puts and stuff. And I know a lot of traders, they say, well, if I'd buy the stock down there, why wouldn't I sell the put down there? The only problem is if you start selling too many puts, you can start to get over your head. So, but when you're spreading them off like that, you're limiting your risk, obviously, too. So that's why it's a very interesting strategy.
Yeah, every time I say there's my brother is a surgeon and he knows nothing about the market, but he does invest. Very conservative like everybody else. I tell him, there's something you can't put a dollar sign against with when you go to sleep. Do you sleep thinking about it? Do you worried
Right.
about it? Like if they say, what is too much to put on the line? I say, well, imagine the worst case scenario. And if that makes you gulp and get nauseous a little bit, then you have too much on the line. You should lighten up a little bit. So in this case, I told you I'm conservative. I like to plan around scenarios. And here's a scenario. I plan around it. I know how much I make. I know how much I lose. I'm okay with it.
I read your article discussing the rise of Apple and Facebook at the beginning of the month, and you said that a lot of that was based on market sentiment, and that market sentiment often prevents investors from seeing the obvious. So how do you measure your market sentiment?
Just by, this is going to sound stupid. In last year, let me commit some blasphemy here. I do not enjoy using Apple products. They're not for me. I'm an engineer. I like things I can control a little more. That's why I veer towards PC and Microsoft products. Not to say that they're not cool products. They're absolutely very sexy, but they're not for me. So that alone, if I tweeted that last year, I would have been called all kinds of names on the internet. And this year, it's the exact opposite. Everybody's making fun of Apple, even though every company in the world would love to be in Apple's shoes for a minute. Yet it's the butt joke of everybody on the internet. So that's the major, like the big picture sentiment change. And everybody shorts it anytime it gets some wind. But long term, I mean, how can you mess up? I said it takes a special kind of idiot to mess a company like that. And Steve Jobs, the genius that he was, he couldn't have put such an idiot in charge. So that's just the stupid way of looking at Apple as to it's a machine that's going to roll over Tim Cook's whatever perception of him being not a good leader and just continue on moving the way it is for a while. I mean, it cannot die. It controls almost what, half the music sold in the world? That's huge. Nobody talks about that. So it's got assets and momentum that's hard to kill. And so that the sentiment is the reaction from traders I get completely 180-degree turn from last year to this year, from its fall from grace, I should say, to this year. It's just joke all over the place. And Icon, the tweet, is making a joke, but I'm making money off of that tweet because to me, that's a built-in put. If he can take HLF, Herbalife, a questionable company at best, right? If he can take it to the moon, where can he take Apple with his support? I mean, he's got an asset here that is beautiful. And if he's in behind it, it's going to go somewhere or nowhere, which is fine with me. So I'll sell credit put spreads in Apple until he says, you know what, I just sold the company.
So what credit put spreads, so you did the example on Google, what ones are you looking at or doing right now on the Apple? Just to give some examples if you can.
Yeah, sure. On Apple, I mean, it's in the low fives. I see people calling it to challenge the 500s and maybe break down below. And if it does, I'll throw at 50s, 450s. I can't remember exactly where my last one, I think, was a 480. So 480, 475, sold the 480, bought the 475 in size. And that was a no sweat win. The biggest no sweat win is when Apple went down to the 390s, and I went on Twitter and my membership and I said, this is the low in Apple, and if it's not, it's a darn good place to get in. So I threw big 350s and 360s in size, and those were also no sweat wins. By no sweat wins, I mean I put it on and it never even comes
Never took any
close
heat.
at all. I didn't have to worry about, oh, is it time to buy some protection. And at this point on Apple, I don't even throw a credit call spread because my last one, Icon messed up. I had a good, I had a good win on it, and I think it was way back. When was that?
August.
Yeah, mid-August, 13th, 14th, something like that. And I had an order to close the spread, and it had a good-sized dollar win on it, and my order wasn't executing, and I'm looking at Apple and it's running up $1 at a time. So I threw it almost a market order to close it, and sure enough, he had eaten away half my profits just because of his tweet about his dinner or whatever it was.
So you don't always play both sides. Sometimes if you're bullish in
Definitely
stocks,
not.
you just play it on
Definitely
the
not. Yeah, there
regular
are some
puts.
stocks.
Right.
There are some stocks that I don't ever, again, do credit call spreads in, and I can name them for you. Priceline, the last one I did, I got out just in time, and it was just not worth the trouble anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Playing the tape.
Amazon, Amazon is another one.
The stock that's impossible to short.
You know, Amazon is another sentiment one. People love to short it, and I don't understand why. I mean, we all know, every trader knows, when you're evaluating a growth company, you don't look at how much money it's putting in its pockets. You know how fast it's going. That's what you're looking at. When you're evaluating Microsoft, a well-established company, or Apple, you say, okay, what are your margins? How much are you putting in your pocket? But for a growth company, you don't do that. And Amazon, I keep saying it, it's the ultimate growth company. It hasn't stopped. It's just like a startup. It's just insanely growing so fast. And why would you want to short it? And why would you want to see how much money it's putting in its pocket? It's eating everybody's lunch, and doing so in a good way.
We got a good question here coming out from Tony621. Obviously, being an options trader, you gotta keep an eye on the VIX and the levels because imagine the higher the VIX, it starts to make your credit spreads a little bit more risky. Probably VIX is just bottoming out now. Do you factor in the VIX into your equations when doing your credit spreads?
A little bit, in the sense where the VIX has been an easy trade for me this year. If you pull up a chart of the VIX, just a 12-month chart, regular candle chart, and you'll see it every time it goes down to the 12s, I'll just buy call spreads in it to offset whatever risk I have. And it's just been a stupid way to park money and then sell it for a little more as soon as it pops. If you look at it, it's got peaks and troughs. And every time it dips in the 12s, I'll open up a good size call spread, and so I can participate in the nervousness, the market jitteriness. But one thing is sure for 2013 is that the bears have been declawed and almost, I don't know what we can say on the air, let's just say castrated. It is just insane how the steam has been taken out of them. And the bulls are, I'm neither, obviously. I'm a credit spreader. I just want them to just get along. And the bulls are complete control. Even when I hear all the experts that come on TV and CNBC, and they all say, "Oh, it's out of control and over exuberance," and it's really not. Yes, prices are high, but they're not lofty. I mean, we have room to go up. We're not going to run up, but there's no reason why to sell off because the safety net's still there. Nothing has changed in the fundamentals for me, in the thesis, in the global thesis this year. The Feds all over the world are still in it until we don't need them. And if we don't need them, we might have an adjustment period of sorts, but then the markets will take over. So nothing has really changed. So the bears are not going to yank us all the way down unless we have a trigger. And I just don't see one right now.
So you're still bullish here going into the remainder of the year there?
Bullish is I would go, I go long good tickers.
Okay. Still picking your companies, yeah.
Yes, I go long good tickers. I don't commit too long period. 30 days probably is the longest I like to go. Maybe 40 days on some names that I like. Lululemon, I just even though it's in the penalty box right now, I can't find good premium for a short period of time. With Apple and Google, I can do weeklies, although I get out of them a week, 3-4 days before the end.
Yeah.
So yes, I am cautiously bullish. In other words, I think we're going to trickle up, and I just don't see a whoosh down scenario unless we have an event. And the only likely place where it's going to come from is some sort of a bubble in China. But if you notice the CNBC, the word bubble faded a little bit. Last week it was bubble this, bubble that, bubble this. I was like, what are you seeing that you didn't see the week before that? I just didn't get it. Everybody just picks up on a word and they take it and run with it.
Okay, are you looking at anything like Facebook here? Facebook has come off the all-time high here after the earnings, kind of slipping off here. Is that something that you're looking at over the next couple days, or you're looking for a little bit more of a pullback, or how you
Facebook
put?
is one of those two companies I mentioned in that article, and a billion users or so. Whether you can count all of them as active users or not, or teenagers or not, but the teenager thing. I mean, since when kids know more than adults? I don't know about that argument. So Facebook is a great potential company in my opinion, and they're making money. Technically, it might have a little bit to go down. I mean, the chart I don't like. So if I were to throw something out there, it'll be around. If I can get any premium, it'll be around the $40, not any
Okay.
closer than that. So I helped my cousin make some money in Facebook, a lot of money. So I'm still waiting for my fruit basket there. But until it gets here, if I were to throw a credit put spread, it'll be in the 40s. I have not done it yet, just because I don't see the premium justifying the volatility in there. I'd rather make more money, easier money, I should say, in bigger dollar tickers.
Tell
Okay,
us about your MarketFi product here, then. Because obviously you're on there and you're doing these credit spreads. Is that what you do with your MarketFi product? Is talk about these different
Yes.
potential credit spreads? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I have education products out there too, but they all complement the trade alert service. It's a trade alert service where whenever I put the trade, it goes out for members to evaluate, and some auto trading there as well. It's doing great. The portfolio is over 30% this year, and it's I call it base hits. I mean, I don't look for home runs. If
Yeah.
you get it, you take it. Like we just got into Amazon just a few days ago, and it's a little over 50% of maximum gain. By that I mean we captured almost a little more than half of what we were going to capture anyway if we let it expire for maximum gain. With It's a December position with so many days to go. I'm looking to close it most likely, and just reset it some other time. Just because everybody's nervous, and it's just too many days left, and the bang for the buck thing makes me want to scalp it in some sort. Yeah.
see,
So the trade alert service is doing great. The hit ratio is over 90 on the credit spreads.
yeah, well, nothing wrong with taking some chips off the table. And just before we close out the interview here, I don't know if the options are trading yet here in Twitter, but obviously the stock is IPO'd. It's had a major range here over the first couple days of trading. I'm sure you're going to wait for the options to open up and start trading. But just give us your outlook on the Twitter stock price.
Since I use it all day, every day, I love the company. I love using the company. I love what it's done to the world. It's just, I could not have imagined it. I remember signing up for Twitter. Like, what? I had to watch the video to see what, what I'm going to do with this. But I knew I wanted to be part of it. That was way back then. And now I'm on it all day, every day. I get all of my news. 100% of my news is almost from Twitter feeds. I subscribe to all the major news agency in the world, French and Arabic and English. And I just wanted to, this way I keep my finger on the pulse from all angles, from every. Now, on the flip side, I never clicked on any ad on Twitter in the years I've been using it. Now I'm seeing more ads come through, and they're ticking me off a little bit because they come with exploded pictures already and kind of mess up my stream. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. Trading it, I probably won't buy the stock, although I want to trade the options. So I'll just wait to see where they come out and how they're trading. And yes, I'll be in there. I'll throw in some lotto money in there.
Okay, Brent just mentioned to me that New York Stock Exchange announced that they'll be starting to trade options on that November 15th. So you can get your crystal ball ready and take a look at that. And it's been great having you on the show for an interview. And we'd very much like to have you come back and discuss your strategies. It's a different approach to the market, and investors should definitely take notice of it.
Joel and Dennis, thanks for the invite. I'll be here anytime. I'll get up at the crack for you guys. I don't care.
Well, thanks, Nick. Really appreciate it. A different viewpoint. Like I like that. When the market's not moving, and that's what you're looking for, because we as traders are always looking for movement. So this gives our traders and people listening to us, some different ideas for trading those non-volatile times.
Exactly. The boring is beautiful.
Boring is beautiful. There's your quote of the day, guys. Thanks, Nick.
Tweet
All
that
right.
out. We've
I
had
will right here. All right.
we've had Nic Chahine on to create income with option spreads. His product is on MarketFi. Go there and check it out. Definitely a unique way to approach the markets. We're going to move on over to Mighty Joe Young here, who's going to give us some morning headlines.
Well, thank you very much, Joel, and thank you to Nic Chahine for coming on the show today. We really appreciate you getting up early and sharing some of your insights with us. Today's headlines from around the world. Last month, Adobe announced hackers stole login information for some 38 million of its customers. Facebook recently began requiring some members who it believes use the same passwords for their Adobe accounts to create new ones. Amazon.com, UnitDiapers.com, which sells diapers and other baby products, also recently reset the passwords of some customers who it believed were affected by the Adobe attack, according to a customer email posted online. Microsoft said it is aware of the potential problem for some of its users and is taking appropriate action, a spokeswoman said, who did not elaborate. Target appears to be taking cues from Amazon.com, according to the Wall Street Journal. The discount chain's latest online offerings have a distinct Amazon feel, from recurring deliveries for diapers to on-demand. What's with the diapers today, Shubs? Diapers here, diapers there, diapers everywhere. From recurring deliveries for diapers to on-demand streaming video and free shipping and discounts for its members. All emulate similar offers from the e-commerce company. Target's headquarters here is also taking on some perks more typical of West Coast technology companies than a Midwestern retailer. That includes vintage arcade games, a bocce ball sand pit, and red basketball court stamped with the retailer's bullseye logo in the new common area. And next year, Target plans to spend more on technology than it does on building and upgrading its stores. Target says Amazon is just one of the many competitors and it isn't mimicking anyone. UBS's China venture plans to offer more computerized trading services as it bets on a surge in demand from institutional money managers in the biggest emerging market. Stock trading volumes from institutional investors will more than double within 5 years, spurred by regulators' efforts to reduce market volatility and reform capital markets, an executive director of China Equities at UBS Securities said. Bloomberg reports that the U.S. will surpass Russia as the world's top oil producer by 2015 and be close to energy self-sufficiency in the next 2 decades amid booming output from shale formations, the International Energy Agency said. Crude prices will advance to $128 a barrel by 2035, with a 16% increase in consumption, supporting the development of so-called tight oil in the U.S. and a tripling in output from Brazil, the IEA said Tuesday in its annual World Energy Outlook. The role of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries will recover in the middle of the next decade as other nations struggle to repeat North America's success with exploiting shale deposits, the agency predicted. Google is presenting a $1,500 piece of wearable technology as a way to interact with music. On Tuesday, Google will unveil a set of features for Glass to search for songs, scan through saved playlists, and listen to music in high fidelity. This can all be done while a user is wearing the lensless frames, which respond to vocal commands and have a small computer and transparent projection screen above the right eye. When Glass boots up, it will display Listen To among its standard voice commands, like take a picture and search for a term on Google, and let the wearer name a song or artist and then stream that music through Play, Google's Media and Apps Hub. Users can link their Play accounts to have access to playlists and song recommendations based on what they have listened to in the past. Sony is keeping PlayStation's Internet TV options open. Mike Aragon, Vice President and General Manager of Global Digital Video and Music Services for Sony Network Entertainment, said the company is still exploring several different ways to bring cable TV to PlayStation consoles. I don't think we have an answer yet, Aragon said. We are looking at lots of things. There are multiple paths that can get you there. On one front, Sony has been working to secure programming agreements for an internet-delivered television service designed to be competitive with cable and satellite services. This summer, the electronics company reached a preliminary agreement with Viacom to carry Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, and other cable networks on such an over-the-top service delivered on PlayStation and other Sony devices, the Wall Street Journal reported. For about 2 years, Google refused to let Nielsen place measurement tags on ads running on YouTube, a stance that media buyers say stopped some advertisers buying time on the online video site, the Wall Street Journal said. Last week, Google reversed its position in a decision that analysts say could fuel the shift of TV ad dollars to online video. Nielsen disclosed late last week that Google was allowing advertisers to test Nielsen's online ad measurement product when they negotiate ad buys on Google's YouTube. Following a brief testing period, Nielsen said it expects the measurement tags to be accepted across all Google properties, including YouTube, by early 2014. Google confirmed the decision on Monday. We know our clients want meaningful measurement, which is why we're investing in brand-friendly metrics. While we continue to build measurement options powered by Google, we're also partnering with industry leaders such as Nielsen and Comscore to offer objective, credentialed, third-party measurement options. Walmart plans to launch sales events starting at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day, 2 hours earlier than last year's event. The retailer said it will hold Black Friday events at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day, with sales lasting through the weekend. Walmart said it will be stocking more inventory on televisions and tablets, and said it is bringing back its so-called 1-hour guarantee, which sells customers certain items during a 1-hour period. In recent weeks, Kohl's, Macy's, and OfficeMax have said many of their stores will open at 8 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. Best Buy also recently said it will open at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving. And today's trivia tidbit, animated special, hey, 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 it's Fat Albert. Can anyone do that impression? Brent, I'm looking your way. Jake? There it is. There it is. Based on Bill Cosby's stand-up comedy, debuted on NBC in 1969, and would later inspire the Saturday morning CBS cartoon. Cosby wrote a dissertation on the series, an integration of the visual media via Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids into the elementary school curriculum as a teaching aid and vehicle to achieve increased learning. That's a mouthful. As partial fulfillment of obtaining his 1976 doctorate in education from the University of Massachusetts. And now I'm handing it over to my Fat Albert impersonist, Jake LeCoeur.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe.
That was
Yeah,
probably the best Caucasian impression I've ever heard.
hey, I do what I can, right? May hold off on the Fat Albert impressions this morning, but maybe more to come. Who knows? Gonna get you guys a quick update on the movers this morning. I do have a couple stocks out there on the move in the pre-market. First, I'm gonna get started with Canadian Solar, Charlie Sandy, India, Quebec. Companies on the downside right now. It's kind of interesting. Stock closed around $29.50 yesterday, announced 2 large agreements today, one in China for 32 megawatts and one in Turkey for 2.3 megawatts, yet the stock is down almost 3%. Was it 3%? No, not quite that much. It's at 28.86 last trade I see. Company does have earnings tomorrow, and the company's been on quite a rise for the last 20 sessions. It's possible that traders are looking just to take some off the table before earnings tomorrow. As you guys probably know, Sarepta Therapeutics is on, just getting absolutely crushed this morning. SRPT is that ticker. Sandy Romeo Papa Tango. Company did report earnings. It beat on the bottom line, but the real bad news is that the FDA is trying to slow its roll with let's see how do I pronounce that? Eteplirsen? Can anyone tell me how to actually pronounce that? All right, I always get those things wrong.
I think you got it right that time.
I was
Did I?
going to say join the club, Jake, because it happens to me all the time, too.
Maybe I should take a course in pronouncing these things. Anyways, so the FDA is holding back their trials, saying that the stipulations for entering patients into their trial system is not stringent enough, and traders are really punishing them for that. Stock is down about 16.19 is the last time I see a trade. It spiked as high as $40 this morning, so that's down nearly 60% from the highs this morning. rough morning for Sarepta shareholders there. Yelp is on the rise this morning following a Jefferies price target increase. The company did have a secondary offering on the 30th. Jefferies' report was really focusing primarily on the company's strong third quarter results and the defensibility of its model. Basically, the report dove in and said that the fact that the sheer number of reviews that Yelp has on its platform is very defensible because it's not exactly something another company can replicate. So they bumped their price target up to $80. It's currently trading at 64.20. So obviously Jefferies thinks there's a lot more room to run there. Reporting earnings this morning was Dish Network. Company hit a high this morning of $49.75. They beat on the bottom line pretty heavily and did beat slightly on the top line. Shares closed yesterday at $47.46, hit a high of $49.75 this morning. Last trade I'm seeing is at $48.75. So volume is thickening up a little bit, but still not too heavy. So watch that one at the open. DR Horton, DHI's ticker there is one you also might want to take a look at. Company matched estimates on the bottom line while beating on the top line, and is trading up slightly from yesterday's close. Closed around $18 yesterday. I'm seeing it at $18.30 right now. Made a high of $18.60, although that high was just one little tick. So very little volume right now in the market, but keep an eye on that one as well. Dean Foods is another company reporting earnings this morning. It's Delta Foxtrot is the ticker there. Company reporting a loss of 63 cents, which was narrower than expected. Analysts were looking for a loss of 65 cents. Revenues came in I'm sorry, reading the wrong numbers there. I was reading the Sarepta numbers. My mistake. True numbers here. Dean Foods reported EPS of 12 cents, which was a 14-cent estimate. Revenues coming in at $2.2 billion versus expected $2.19 billion. Shares are down this morning, dropped as low as 18.71. Last trade I'm seeing is at 19.04. It looks like our close yesterday was right around 1972, so about 70 cents down from the close yesterday. After the close, we do have NQ reporting earnings. It seems like there's been a short covering rally the last couple of days on that one, as Muddy Waters continues to go after the company, but they haven't exactly been able to prove that it's a fraud quite yet. Company reports earnings after the close is expected to do 27 cents versus 16 cents the comparable quarter last year. Revenues are expected to come in at $51.2 million versus $25.8 million in the comparable quarter last year. Shares are really on a rise this morning. They closed around $13.50 yesterday. Last trade I'm seeing is at $14.75 with a high of $15 exactly this morning. It hit that top. Looks like on three different occasions, so keep an eye out for that $15 level. Joel, I don't know if you got any technicals on this one, but it seems kind of interesting since we hit that $15 level three times. Obviously, it's psychological since it's a whole number, but we've hit it three times already in the pre-market as we're oscillating into this range. I don't know if you see anything going on here. Joel, I think we lost your mic there.
Okay, I'm back.
Like
I'm back. I'm back. Talking about NQ Mobile here. It's had a nice run up yesterday. Broke over the $11.50 level. Had a nice run yesterday. We got back made a high yesterday at 13.55. Topping out at 14.99 here in the pre-market. So we will be keeping an eye on those levels. Also mentioned that 15.85 has been the highest level the stock has traded since all the news of Muddy Waters has come out. You also have earnings coming out on this, so I think you're going to run into some problems here in the $15 handle.
Last one I want to hop into is ARIA Pharmaceuticals. Company did report earnings this morning, a loss of 36 cents. Analysts were looking for a loss of 43 cents. Revenues came in at 16.7 million, slightly beating analyst expectations of 16.66 million. This one's really on the rise this morning. Closed at 255, looks like yesterday. Last trade I'm seeing is at 281 with a high of 283. Joel, it's kind of a low price stock. It's really been taking a beating over the last year. It looks like Ariad is a little bit on the rise. I don't know if you see anything here. It's been kind of flat for the past couple of sessions. Looks like we might be getting a little action in this today.
And what's the symbol on that one, Jake?
That's Alpha Romeo India Alpha Ariad Pharmaceuticals. Really taking a hit last. Was it when did that gap down? The gap down was that late September or it was early October is when it had the big gap down. Dropped from $18 all the way down to around $5. So a rough reading there, and then had another slight gap down, but looks like it's getting a little bit of a boost this morning.
Right, just was kind of skimming along the bottom here, and the lower twos had multiple lows between 221 and 230. You're getting a bounce out of that, trading up 24 cents here in the pre-market. It's had a couple gaps that it needs to fill, but they are a ways away from here. Play this thing from the breakout here if you're looking at the November 4th high of 282. We've hit in the pre-market. We've traded up near that level. We've made a high at 283. So let's just see. Keep an eye. If it can hold up at this 280 level here and make a challenge, could run up to the $3 level. Coming back on the downside here. Got to get down to 261 to fill the gap from yesterday's trading. But for you guys trading this off the open here, you like to see it just open up 280, 281 here, hold, and take off and move for the $3 level.
All right, thanks, Joel, for that analysis. With that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Brent if he's ready to rock and roll with the morning rating summary. You ready to go, Brent?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
Ready to roll. Top upgrades, top downgrades. Don't forget about the new coverage. And then I am going to give you a quick preview of a couple earnings and maybe tease some of the guests that we're going to have on later this week. On to the ratings. Top upgrades today. BMO Capital upgrading Leapfrog to outperform. Raymond James upgraded shares of Comerica from underperform to market perform. First Analysis upgrading shares of Western Union from equal weight to overweight. Jeffries, as Jake said on Yelp, up to buy on that one. Piper Jaffray upgrading shares of Emulix from neutral to overweight. Emulix last night announcing a buyback plan, announcing one of its execs will be leaving, and also offering some details on a cost-cutting plan. Top downgrades this morning. Hologic shares downgraded at, let me count this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Downgraded at RBC, William Blair, Canaccord Genuity, and Craig-Hallum this morning. The stock is down about 14% following quarterly results and some guidance. We did have shares of Sarepta downgraded at Piper Jaffray this morning. They slap an underweight rating on shares of Sarepta. Stock is down. I haven't checked it recently. Let me check it. Sarepta shares down 55% right now. MKM Partners downgrading shares of Intel from buy to neutral. Cowen downgrading shares of FedEx from outperform to market perform. And a Eurobank Panmure downgrading shares of GlaxoSmithKline from buy to hold. Couple of new coverages this morning. We have Trimus, that is ticker Tango Romeo Sandy, with a new buy rating and $48 price target at Deutsche Bank. We also have shares of VoxelJet, that's Victor Juliet Echo Tango, initiated with a neutral rating at Piper Jaffray, but initiated with an outperform rating at Cowen. And then expect to see some of these new Twitter ratings coming in today. This morning is a Susquehanna analyst initiating shares of Twitter with a neutral rating and $38 price target. In pre-market action, I see shares of Twitter around 43.78. So that Susquehanna analyst is staying on the sidelines here, but nonetheless does see a bit of downside from the current level. Heads up tonight, Jake hollered and said NQ later after the close. That is true. Also have Cena, that is Sandy India November Alpha, tomorrow morning, look out for Canadian Solar and also retailer Macy's. Anyone trading JCPenney out there, maybe looking to Macy's results to see if they can get a little indication as to maybe how JCPenney has been doing recently. After the close tomorrow, we have NetApp and a rather big one. This is a 5-star in the Benzinga Pro importance. That is Cisco tomorrow after the close on the Options House pre-market info show. Tomorrow we will have Capital's Jarrett Lillian. Look for that interview around 8:45ish, I believe. Got to check the schedule. On Thursday we will have the Steady Trader Serge Berger on talking about trade setups. And a quick heads up for next week on Tuesday, the reappearance of none other than Sang Lucci. He will be back on the show to discuss option strategies. Had a really great interview with Sang Lucci. Was it last week? Last week, I believe. Was it last week, Joel?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay, good. And we are just a few minutes in front of the open. I would encourage anyone in the chat room or outside the chat room, if you have not logged in the chat room, please do. You can post some questions. We will be answering questions. Any issues you have, you can put questions on any of the issues that you might be trading into the chat anytime throughout the show. But just after the close, we really want to focus on any options, any securities, any kind of equities that you might be trading this morning or thinking about trading later on this week. Now, where's that opening bell? I know it's there somewhere.
We're a couple minutes away here from
okay.
the opening bell. Got 2 minutes away here, but just do a quick rundown here on some of the issues covered here in the pre-market show. Sarepta Therapeutics is needs a little bit of a wake-up call here. This stock, we were talking about it at the 1721 level. It has since cascaded down even further. Now, made a low at 1610 here. Trading 1631 here. I'm just looking to see this 1610 trading a minute before the open here. Perhaps some big bids here at 16, so we'll see if SRPT here can make that low right before the opening bell and perhaps get a little bit of a rally.
Joel, do you make anything out of that kind of rounding that happened since that news hit this morning? It's really just kind of been rounding, and now it's kind of like it looks like it wants to bottom out around here. If the momentum would continue, you would expect it to go up on the other side. Do you make anything by that kind of trading?
I've been talking about this thing making a rounding bottom here since it was at 17 and change here. Now it reaches under the $16 level here. We will take a look. See if the low here is going to come right at the opener. They're going to continue to just pound this stock into oblivion here. But 1580 pre-market low there, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. So far 1592 in the regular session, hanging out the $16 levels. So there's your numbers early for SRPT. 1580 pre-market low, 1590 here in the regular session. Moving on to some other stocks that we did cover in this morning's broadcast. We taught and discussed this with Nic Chahine, who was kind enough to come on our show. We were looking at the 1008 level here in Google. We have opened up below that level. We opened up 107.70. So if you were quick off the hop here, you could have gotten done at yesterday's low at 10008, 821 the high here. Not a lot of support in Google until you get down near the $1,000 level. You did have a low at 10063 on October 23rd, but hopefully you get a little bit of a rally back up to that 1008 for potential short opportunity. SRPT here, 1636 last trade, made a high at 1670. See if the buyers here are going to step up in this issue after just terrible news overnight. Let's take a look here. Another stock that we covered on the show, FNDA, trading up smartly here. Let's get a quick check under the hood of that stock. Vanda Pharmaceutical here. Now you had that stock in the pre-market get over the $13 level. Got to 13.20. But it's come off hard off that level. Sellers have come down to 12.81, the most recent high at 12.50. So you have to imagine any kind of rally back up near that $13 level. You'll find some resistance here. Stock getting a big pop off some favorable news. Taking a look, the S&Ps are trading here at Friday at yesterday's low, 62.75. So if the trend continues in this market, the previous day's lows have been holding up. We'll see if that's the case here today. 62 and a quarter low. Last traded 63 even. Moving on here, Google, a short-lived pop, now back up to the old support point, new resistance here at 1008. Twitter following through on the rally from yesterday, now coming up from the 39.50 level. We hit that yesterday. Traded as high as 43.78 here. You really can't call any major resistance in this thing until you get to the all-time high close of 44.90. That was on the initial day of trading. Facebook recovering a little bit from yesterday's sell-off. We'll take a look at the trading in that issue.
Facebook super volatile this morning. It went parabolic into the open, spiked over 46 right after 9, and then came back down right around that 46 level right before the open. And then I see, where do you see the morning low? I see right around 45.80-ish. You see that, Joel?
45.83 was the low in today's session. 45.73 was the low from yesterday. So under $46 here. Facebook trying to find some support in the market. S&P's still hanging out here at the 1763 level. We made a 1762 and a quarter low. That coincides with yesterday's low at 62.75. So we will see if our trend can continue of holding the lows and make a challenge of the 1770 level. Keeping an eye, the all-time high close 1767.50. We did that yesterday, and we also did that a few trading sessions ago. Also Monday's high 1770 and a quarter. The all-time high is 1774.50. Moving on to some other issues. YELP here. Upgrade by Morgan Stanley here. The stock is on the rise. Has had a pretty good sell-off here after making all-time high. Now YELP did gap up here. Traded above the highs from yesterday. Yesterday's high 63.52. Made a low at 63.79, but been off to the races 64.64 high. This thing is a real Momo stock here, so you really have to respect it here. Moving up, you have the high from the 7th at 67.55. That's still another $3 away from here. But that's what we'll be keeping an eye on. S&P futures now a little over 2 points off the low of the day, 62 and a quarter. Trying to pull itself back up to the all-time high close of 67.50. We did that on yesterday and also a few trading sessions ago. Looking at the gold market, trading under 1280 here. Real quiet range in that yesterday, only a $10 range. Quite the same here today. Trading down, we're trading basically flat here at the 1280 level. So gold doing its 1 or 2 day, 3 day, 4 day consolidation.
How about crude? Crude looks like it's breaking down since about 9. Can you check that chart?
Looking at the crude futures, we did find some major resistance in the 95 handle. We hit 95.40 yesterday. or excuse me, 95.38. You also had a couple highs going back a few sessions at 95.31. Crude's been kind of quiet lately. You've been since you made that 93 and change low. Let's get the exact number for our listeners here. You made a low on the continuous contract at 93.07, and since making that low, you've had four higher lows moving up from the 93 handle to 94 handles. So, 94.31 is the low in today's session. 94.11 was your low from yesterday. So, major support building at the $94 level for crude futures. We're 57 cents away from that. Taking a look, S&Ps made a high during the intraday session here at 1265 and a quarter. So that's holding up here, only two ticks away. I guess those trying to pick a bottom in SRPT are going to have to make another attempt at it. Rallied a buck in the morning up to 1670, but it's traded as low as 1516 in today's session. So a lot of volatility in SRPT. Dennis identified a level in this stock, and going back on the monthly chart, there was a low under $15 at 1484 in October of 2012. So not a good day for shareholders of SRPT. Moving on to some of the other stocks, some of the big stocks in the S&P 500. ExxonMobil, major run up over the last week. Really starting to find some problems here. Closer you get to the $93 level. 92.90 was the high in today's session. You also have multiple tops between 93.20 and 93.30. Moving on to other issues here, top issues in the Big Ten. Apple Computer, wicked consolidation in here between 512 and 525. Made a low this morning at 517 even, getting a little bit of a pop. Traders may want to keep an eye on the two previous highs as a potential resistance point, or if you want to call it perhaps a breakout to the upside. You had highs from Friday and Monday, 521.13, 521.67. You've reached 520.40 in today's trading. Need to take a look at shares of J.C. Penney here. Had a high yesterday at 873, I believe. Had a high going back a few sessions at that same level. This is the highest shares of J.C. Penney have traded since making that low at 624 back on October 22nd. 873 was yesterday's high. We come through it a little bit, went to 877, but we're back trading under that 873 level. I got figured if it can hold this 870 level here, get back above it, perhaps up some resistance at the $9 level. Nice round number like 9 may be a target for some of the bottom pickers.
Don't look now, but JCPenney shares up 36% since that October low. Does that seem like a lot to you, Joel?
Well, I guess it's all in the perspective, in the shareholder. If you bought it in the upper teens, no. But if you were lucky to scoop this stock up under $7, it's a nice gain. I guess it's a lot going to hinge on where holiday shoppers are going this season. See if JCPenney can attract some customers. Moving on here, S&Ps are taking a little breath here at 1765, made a 1765.50 high. Google shares have recovered up to the 10.10.29 level and back trading at those multiple lows at 1008. So doesn't look like we're going to get that whoosh through the 1008 level down to 1,000. That will perhaps have to wait for another day.
Check out Tesla, Joel.
Tesla Motors
Lower since the open.
Yeah, that stock is having a hard time mounting a rally here. We did talk about the resistance in the 145 area. Did have a few highs. Let's go on back. Yesterday's high in Tesla, 145.42. Going back to Thursday, you had a high at 145.65. Hit 144.70 in today's session. So that's the area to keep an eye on here if you want to try and buy Tesla on a breakout here. You need it to get above the 145 level. Coming back on the downside, you had a low yesterday, 137.10, but seems with the market moving up here, it's just going to work its way down, perhaps 140.
Tesla's up about 7 or 8% since the low on Friday, so it might just be a little profit taking here this morning. 1.5% at the open. Lower doesn't seem too crazy when you had 7% upside over the last couple sessions.
Okay, shares of NQ Mobile got a boost in the pre-market off disclosure of someone taking a large position in it. Really not getting followed through off the open. Actually opened up near the high of the session. Sellers have kind of been picking on that $15 level in the pre-market. They've lowered their targets now, and shares are heading lower. In order to get into yesterday's range, let's take a look at yesterday's high in shares of NQ Mobile. Got a ways to go to fill the gap down to $13.55. So under the $14 level, 13.55, 13.60 may be a target area for covering shorts or those that want to take it on the long side going into earnings. S&Ps, I did find support at yesterday's low. Yesterday's low, 62.75. Today's low, 62.25. Getting a 4-point bounce up to the 66.25 level. Resistance will now be at the close, 1767.50. That was your all-time high close. We achieved that yesterday, and then we also achieved that on October 29th here. So still $2 away from that all-time high, 1667.50. Brent, do we have any more news or any more events coming out at 9:45, or are we pretty much done for the day?
We do have the Benzinga daily morning meeting at 9:45, but for traders out there that don't care about that, no, it looks like it's a rather quiet econ week. We will have a bunch of data coming out on Friday, but as far as this morning, Wednesday and Thursday, relatively quiet on the econ. Earnings starting to taper off.
Okay, that's going to wrap up our broadcast here for Tuesday, November 12th. Hope your trading day goes well for you. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning.